What's going on, party people? How are you all doing? Yes, I am back again for another one of these letterbox review videos because the last one was a smash hit. And I had to take some time off away from all the fame that I gained from it. But I'm back. During my absence, I actually became a dad, or as the millennials like to call it, fur dad, or dog dad, or parent. Cringe. But yes, my wife and I obtained this beautiful Italian Greyhound named Stanley. And now that I'm a dog parent, I totally understand the motives behind John Wick. So I thought it'd be super fitting to do a letterbox review video on movies with dogs. If you didn't catch the first video, basically the premise of this thing is I find movies that I've watched and I have enjoyed, and then I go on Letterboxd and find the most insane, unhinged reviews possible and talk about them. First up, we have Cats and Dogs. Now, right off the bat, I distinctly remember this movie being cats versus dogs. And I know this isn't like another one of those Mandela effects, but every time I've thought about this movie, it's always been cats versus dogs. I don't know when it changed to cats and dogs, but cats versus dogs is clearly a better title for this kind of movie. But this movie came out in the year 2001, and if you're a Zoomer, you probably can't relate to it that much, but when I was a kid, this movie was so iconic. It was probably like one of the last movies I remember watching before life changed forever. So right off the bat, it's 5 out of 5 for nostalgia for me. Maybe, you watch this movie and then your parents divorced not long after, or it was during the divorce and this was your coping mechanism. It's one of those movies where it's kind of solidified in millennial brains. And it's one of those movies that you find out later in life, it actually has like a stacked number of cast. And I don't know if this movie won any Oscars, but it should have won every single Oscar. This movie contains such esteemed actors like Jeff Goldblum, Tobey Maguire, even Alec Baldwin. I wonder what he's up to these days. And I know that I'm not the only one that thinks that this movie has some kind of Mandela effect, because the first top review of this movie is, anyone else have the Mandela effect of remembering this as cats versus dogs? I love this review so much. This is where cinema peaked. This should have been the last movie. Why even bother trying to make movies where nothing will ever be better than this? Norton, I'm sorry for your parents' divorce, but I totally agree with you. I love this one. It's Martin Scorsese Wishes. Martin Scorsese, I know you're busy making your ads with Timothy Chalamet and all these other heartthrobs, but please, go back to making cult classic films. Sidebar, they should make movies as crazy as they did with Cats and Dogs. Could you imagine trying to pitch that movie today to a studio and to an audience? People would think that you're fucking insane, but in 2001... this is where it was at. Someone's here having an existential crisis and they said, I thought I made this whole movie up, but turns out it's real and I'm going off my meds. It's kind of like that famous meme of that other famous millennial movie that everyone remembers, but it doesn't exist. And it's like they laid out the plot points for the film and everyone's like, yeah, I remember that movie. Didn't exist somehow. Now that's a Mandela effect I care about. Overall, Cats and Dogs, highly recommended. Let's move on to the next film, Marley and Me. Actually, you know what? We're not doing that. Moving on to the next one. Beethoven. Now, people always say things like, oh, Air Bud was a movie that I watched a lot during school on like rainy days or when I was sick at home from school. For me, that movie is Beethoven. I don't know why. Maybe it's just like a North American thing that everyone's like horny over Air Bud. I've never seen Air Bud, but I can tell you, I've seen Beethoven a million times, but I've also forgotten every single thing about the movie. So I went back and watched the trailer for this video. There have been many big dog stars. And this movie is more fucking insane than I could think of. First of all, I thought Beethoven could talk. He doesn't say a single fucking word. But also there's like a scene where the kids are stealing a car in like a true GTA moment. Again, this is one of those movies where if you tried to pitch it today, studio executives and audiences would be like, what the fuck are you trying to do? But in 1992, Beethoven did that. It's simple. There's a big ass dog with a big ass heart and people are trying to steal it. So overall, on like the insanity scale of this film, I'm giving Beethoven a solid 3 out of 5, I would say. And for the kids' stunts driving that car, 5 out of 5. GTA stars, that is. Okay, this movie is more insane than I remember because the second top review is, you'll forget that the movie Beethoven is about people trying to kidnap a big dog to test a new bullet on its skull. Oh my god. Man, studio executives in the 90s were definitely on a lot of cocaine. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. There's a scene where Charles Grodin is in bed being cuddled and licked by our hero Beethoven, who he mistakes for his wife and says, "Has daddy's little girl been naughty?" And it's one of the best line deliverings of his career. Oh my god. The shit people got away with in the 90s and the 2000s, insane. Again, Beethoven's one of those films where you kind of fantasize of what like the perfect family life is like. You have a giant dog, your family all love each other, and you'll do anything for this dog. I don't know about you, but I didn't have that growing up. And I'm sure most families probably didn't have that growing up. That's why they made this fucking film. Because I've noticed like a few of these reviews are saying stuff like childhood comfort food or Beethoven is an integral part of the American dream kino. I think what we should do with Beethoven is that we should show people reviews of the film with just zero context and just make them decide what they think the movie is about. Because one of the reviews says the dude that got 1 million syringes in his chest definitely died. Now, if you put the poster of Beethoven with that review under it, I would have no fucking idea what you were talking about. But I'll definitely be intrigued. Also, it's interesting the more I read these reviews, knowing that this was like a childhood classic film of mine, but understanding the plot of a bunch of bad people trying to use ammunition, like testing ammunition on a dog's skull. How is this a kid's movie? Now, keeping on theme with nostalgic dog movies, I've decided to go with 101 Dalmatians. Now, you might be thinking, Warwick, which one are you going to choose from? Because much like Taylor Swift's discography, there is a billion different versions. And I'm going with the 1996 classic, because again, that's very vaguely remember watching that movie at like childhood sleepovers. Again, a time before my life was filled with trauma. Now, 101 Dalmatians was, again, one of those like iconic films for the time, filled with nostalgia and CGI and good family fun. Do you know what it also contained? Hugh fucking Laurie. Yeah, the guy that played House. So shout out to Stuart Little and more importantly, 101 Dalmatians for launching his career. So let's celebrate Hugh Laurie's career by going through the reviews together. I love for some reason one of the top reviews is too much barking. Shut the fuck up with that shit. Now, someone clearly graduated film school top of their class because they wrote a massive paragraph about how they don't like this film. And they started off by saying, if you want to watch 1.75 hours of dogs barking and Glenn Close evil laughing, then this is the movie for you. It comes as no surprise that this live-action remake is worse than the animated version. Aww, did someone not get a high distinction in their last exam? And then I love how they ended it with, P.S. false advertising. It's only 17 Dalmatians, not 101. Alright, I think that's enough dog films for my sanity. And I hope you enjoyed Stanley in this outro. He's already left the outro, so like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.